What's up everyone, TJ here. Today we're checking out the Endeavor Scout snowboard, and in this video I'm going to go through all the tech you're going to find in this board and share some feedback on how it's feeling out here on snow as well. Let's check it out. All right, for reference, before we get into the tech, I'm 5'10", I weigh around 150 pounds, and we're riding the Scout 156 today. This is gonna be a directional, all mountain focused board on the Endeavor lineup. Gonna be a good free ride board as well, has some benefits in powder also. It does have a directional design, so it has a directional shape. You're gonna find a noticeably longer nose than tail outside the contact points. So in soft snow, when you're using the entire board from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail, you're gonna have more surface area up front, help keep that nose up. It also has a 12mm taper, so the tail is just a little bit narrower than the nose, reducing the surface area in the back of the snowboard. And it actually runs a centered stance, so no setback on this snowboard. So on hard pack, it should feel somewhat twinish, which should be fun later in the day out here at Copper. And one other thing I want to mention that's going to help this board in powder is that it's actually fairly wide. So the 156 is 26 centimeters at the waist. So it's going to have a pretty significant overall surface area that's going to help offer more float as well. So all those things are going to work together to give this board better performance in soft snow. You're going to find a camber dominant profile in this snowboard. It's pretty much full positive camber, going to come through with that more precise, energetic, and powerful feel that you'd expect out of positive camber. It does have a little bit of a rocker blend starting a few inches out from that nose contact point to help with turn initiation and just mellow things out on a hard pack, make it a little bit less catchy. Might also offer a slight benefit in powder as well, but overall this board's going to have that positive camber feel to it. Another couple things worth highlighting is what Endeavor calls their smooth ride sidewalls. It's a urethane sidewall, the same material that skateboard wheels are made out of. Has some great dampening properties, going to help mellow out vibrations as you're out there cruising around, particularly through variable terrain or choppy snow. Just going to help prevent those vibrations from getting up to your ankles and your knees quite as much and just give you a bit of a smoother ride, as the name says. You're also going to find their inertia carbon rods milled into the core of this snowboard, running from tip to tail down the sides of the board. And it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a carbon fishing pole milled into the core there. So it's like pressed carbon, going to help add more energy, more snap, more pop into the feel of this snowboard while keeping things nice and lightweight. And the last couple things I want to highlight is that this board does run the channel system, same as the Burton channel. So you're going to have unlimited stance width options. If you run the Burton EST binding system, you're going to get unlimited stance angle options as well as the width. But I'm running my Unions today, the Union Atlas, and these are going to work with pretty much any major binding manufacturer. And the last thing I want to mention is that you're going to get a sintered base in this board, which is a high-end base material known to be harder, faster, and more durable compared to an extruded base. You do want to make sure to wax it regularly to maintain a nice, fast, consistent glide, but it's always good to see that built into the construction. So that's going to be it for a quick tech breakdown out here. We're going to get some laps going and check back in later in the day to give you some feedback. I think I got a pretty good feel for the Scout out here today. We actually got a bit of a refresher here in Colorado over the last couple days. So got some good snow here at the resort and was actually able to find some decent powder at the pass this morning. So let's start off talking about the powder experience with this board. I think the most noticeable things, first off, is going to be the directional shape and the taper, just giving the board more surface area up front, naturally helping keep that nose up on top of the snow, helping reduce that rear leg fatigue, but also just the increased overall surface area with the width. I think that actually helps a lot. And I think this board actually had a really good feel from my experience this morning. We got about 5 laps out there and I was riding pretty much with my weight centered, and it wasn't a bottomless day, but we found a couple zones that was like a solid 8-10 inches, and I didn't really have to focus on working to keep the nose up. It just had a good feel to it. Not going to be quite as nimble as more powder specific boards like the Archetype on the Endeavor lineup, or boards that are going to have, you know, a little bit more directionality to them, maybe a little bit more of an exaggerated swallowtail or fishtail. But for something that's really well-rounded like the Scout, I think you're going to have a really good time if you do take this board in some soft snow. And as far as the flex goes, I'd describe it as kind of a middle of the road park flex. Has a really versatile feel to it, definitely comes through with some good stability, some good energy, some good pop. It does come through with that camber dominant feel as well. So, you know, as you do lean into the nose or tail, you are gonna have to work against that camber and that flex. But one thing I really like about it, I'd actually say the flex is a highlight for me. I think it has something to do, you know, with the triax weave and the core materials they use in this snowboard. But it has a real like snappy, springy, energetic feel to it. It has a real quick snap and response when you do load it up. So that was something that was very noticeable from the very first lap on this snowboard. It is gonna make you work a little bit harder for those butters and flat ground type tricks, but isn't so aggressive and catchy to the point where I'd say it has like a sketchy kind of weird feel to it. Still pretty comfortable doing that kind of stuff. And again, comes through with some good pop. You know, anytime you're loading up tension in this board, it's gonna snap back with some good energy and help boost you up in the air, whether you're hitting natural features, rollers, or getting some park laps in. And when it comes to park laps, the Scout does have a pretty comfortable feel to it. I will say, like with any directional shape, you do want to watch out for that nose. Make sure you're not clipping up as you're coming off the lip of a jump or coming onto a rail. Something that might take a little bit of getting used to since you do have a little extra length on the nose. But overall, a very versatile park feel to it. I think it's capable of hitting the larger features, can definitely step up to the bigger jumps and have stability for those landings. And also going to be capable on the larger rail features, being able to do like more slope style gap on rails. A little bit aggressive and stiff for the more techie rail tricks. It does have a fairly stiff torsional flex as well, so that makes it a little bit more challenging for those fine-tuned adjustments on the way up to those smaller features. But on the flip side, it's going to have way more stability and control at higher speeds and in those higher impact situations. So if you do want to take this board to the park in the afternoon, or you're just looking for that kind of one board solution that you can explore the whole mountain with and still has a pretty comfortable park feel to it, the Scout's going to offer that for you. And the last thing I want to talk about is the carving experience. I think a couple big positives for the Scout is going to be the width. Like I mentioned before, at a 156, you're going to get a 26 centimeter waist width. So that's going to allow for more aggressive edge angles if you're into those more technical Euro carve style turns. Also, you know, if you have a larger boot size, that's going to be a nice benefit. It is a little bit slower edge to edge, but I think 26 is a nice middle ground where it still feels pretty natural. It also has a pretty damp feel to it as you're cruising around. We kind of had a little bit variable, choppy snow conditions on the groomers today with this fresh snow, and I think it was powering through that no problem. The stiffer torsional flex helps go through that more variable, choppy terrain as well. Helps keep you in control, helps keep a nice, confident feel on this board. Even as you start going up to higher speeds, I wasn't really finding any chatter in the nose and tail, so I would say you can charge pretty well on this board, and it's gonna come through with some good stability, and it's not really gonna hold you back, even if you do start to get a little more aggressive with it. One thing I did find a little different about this board though, with it being kind of a more free ride leaning all mountain board, is that it does have a pretty tight side cut. So the 156 is 7 meters, a little bit below average, gonna throw you into a little bit tighter turns. Didn't really feel off out there, but I will say when you do get it up to higher speeds, you want to be careful with how heavy you engage that side cut and how much weight you throw into the board, and just be ready for it to throw you into a bit of a tighter arc. So at higher speeds, that might be a little bit funky, but at slower and moderate speeds, it's actually a lot of fun. So kind of a give and take there with the side cut, but overall, a very confident carver, has a nice damp feel to it, and something that I think you'll enjoy out there, you know, whether you're ripping groomers or just out there exploring the mountain, the trees, and the alpine. Overall, I'd say the Scout is a bit more of an aggressive choice, probably better suited for more intermediate to advanced riders. If you are a more experienced rider, I think it's gonna offer a nice, versatile, comfortable feel for you. Definitely gonna offer a lot of stability, a lot of energy to it. And I would say that the two biggest highlights for me is just the overall versatility of the board. You can really take it anywhere on the mountain, and it's gonna have a good, confident feel to it, whether that's powder laps, tree laps, groomers, or park laps. So if you're looking for that one board quiver, this could be a good option for you, as well as the feel of the flex. I think this board just has a real snappy, energetic feel to it, and that was something that I could notice anywhere I took the board. If you want to read a little bit more about this board, I'll have it linked down in the description below. And if you've had a chance to ride it, let us know what you think about it down in the comments. You can leave any questions for me down there as well. Drop a like if you got some value out of this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for being here today, and we will see you in a new review next time. Take care, everybody.